Hello, welcome back to Mrs. Hewitt's Spelling at Home. So this week for Key Stage 1, we are going to be looking at something called the plural. Now, a plural is relates to a noun, which is a thing, and basically a plural is if we have more than one of something. So we might say that we have one teacher, but if you have two or three or four, you have teachers, and we just put the S on the end to indicate that there are more than one. Now today we're going to keep talking about the simple, the most basic rule, but there are some exceptions when we can't just add an S, and that's what we're going to be looking at later in the week. So for today, it's just all about thinking if we've got one and then we've got more than one and we can just add an S on the end. So I'll show you an example. See if you can read this word at home. So we have cake with the split digraph there, we have cake. So if I had one cake, or if I had 3 or 2 or 7 or 100, I would have 7, and I just put the S on the end and it makes cakes. Okay, so you can see there I've done it as a whole word, cake. So it's like cake, add the S, makes cakes. Okay, so I've got a few more words where we just literally add that S on the end, and you can have a think about some of the objects that maybe are in your room now that you can see, and you can think about how you would say if you had one of them and then if you had more than one of them. So I'm going to say I have one coat, but the children have lots of coats. So we've got coat, so we can spell coat and then we just pop the S on the end to say coats. Okay, and then the same for this one. So if I fold it over, we have you sit on one chair, but if I wanted to say in all of the room we have lots of chairs, I just put the S on the end for chairs. Okay, so you can see the rule now. This is the most common rule. Okay, so say there are some exceptions depending on what the end sound is in your singular. So we're going to have one book, or we could have 3 books. Okay, so it's just that same rule. Add the S on the end. We could have 1 dog and 5 dogs. And then you can have 1 cat and lots of cats. So I want you to have a look around your room, see what you can see, and then write down what the singular would be, so if you only had one of them, and then what it would be if you had more than one. And hopefully you can pick ones where you just add a S. So when you're saying it, you'll be able to hear that you say cats, and you'll hear that S sound afterwards. Some things you might hear in E's or an S, like babies, that's not just adding an S, so that's a slightly different rule. But if it's just a consonant and then an S, you can just add that S on the end. Okay, so you might see a pen or a car, anything like that, a toy. So see if you can write down the singular and the plural. Pause the video while you do that. Okay, so hopefully you've written a few plural words. And you can remember that word, plural means more than one. It's a word that you will hear at school, okay? So just to remind you, we had books, we had dogs, and we had cats. And I'm sure you had lots of things that you found around your house as well that you could talk about how many you have if you have 2 or more. So I've written a sentence using 2 of my plural words. So you can read my sentence with me, and then you can have a go at writing your own sentence now. So putting them into a bit of a longer sentence, not just writing that word. Okay, so it's important to keep your sentence writing going. So see if you can read this one. You can see I've underlined the plural words with my orange pen. We've got the boys looked for their coats. Okay, so we know that there was more than one boy and there was more than one coat. If I put the boy looked for, I'd have to put his coats. That would mean that one boy had more than one coat. Okay, so it's important for meaning because it tells us how many things there are that we're talking about. Okay, that's why it's important. That's why we have the plural. So we know if we mean one, we need more than one. Okay, so we just did the simple plural today. You can have a go at writing a sentence now. Remember your capital letter and your full stop. And then tomorrow we're going to still look at the plural, but we're going to look at a time when we have to add something extra. We can't just add the S. okay? So it's a different rule. So I will see you for that tomorrow. Bye.